Hey everybody, welcome back to Mary Bird's Backyard Garden. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mary.
And we're here again with another episode. Mary, what do you think about that?
Wonderful, another episode.
Hey, we got some cool
glad
stuff.
To be back.
I know, we got cool stuff. We got some Mary stuff. Got a little Jeff's Corner coming up later.
Ooh, and I don't know what that is. It's going to be a surprise.
Yeah, it's going to surprise you. I'm not sure either what it is yet. No, I do know it is.
You better know what it is.
But we got some cool stuff talk about. I think we're going to recap a couple little things too. But
we are.
Let me go ahead and roll it over to you there. Hey, Mary, what's new in the garden?
Oh, the garden looking so good right now. It is raining. Everything is popping. It's just very exciting.
Is that crazy? We've actually got a lot of rain the last few days.
I believe that is quite crazy.
It's beautiful. Yes. And the temperature is like in the 80s. In Texas, Central Texas, that's nuts.
That's nuts.
It's really nice. But the plants in the garden is really growing, starting to grow and wake up.
We have pulled out our pocket garden, and all the little volunteer seeds have started to sprout all over again. New plants are popping up from those wild prairie seeds.
I like it. A little pop-a-lopping. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
What else is going good in the garden? You know, we did have quite an adventure last week with the skunk, getting our dog. And at one point, we did have to go out and look for some special shampoo for one of the dogs.
We did.
She must have got an extra dose.
I think she confronted the skunk more than the boy.
Yes, she did. But it was interesting we went into the pet store, and the lady said that there had been a swarm of customers coming in to buy de-skunking.
She did because they have products. They have like two little stalls where you can go wash your dogs too. And she said that they have had quite a few customers that have come in with skunky dogs
lately.
So I feel better about it now.
I do too.
And
while we've been walking around the neighborhood, you go first.
I was going to say, but I know you're going to talk about it, but we still got a skunky dog.
I know.
We bought the one.
We did.
It's even called Skunk Out, I think, or something. Shampoo.
And it is formulated with charcoal.
It is.
It is. Mm-hmm.
And it's just not. It's not horrible, but it's kind of like, honestly, it's a gross smell.
It's on her
Poor
ears.
Puppy. We've tried it.
Right on her ears and right on the top of her head.
And with the rain, when she gets wet, it's worse. It's like, oh gosh, that's weird.
It's bad.
But tell me about walking around the neighborhood.
Walking around the neighborhood, we pass by houses that are several blocks from us, and all of a sudden we look at each other and say, oh boy, we know that smell.
Yeah, I know.
So plus, they have been rampant.
Yeah, and you can see places where they could.
You can.
We cleaned up our yard, but you can definitely see some areas where critters can hide as we're walking around. Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah, I don't like the smell. I don't think she likes the smell either, poor dog. But we can't. I don't know what else to do. And maybe it's just gonna have to wear out at this point. We'll maybe wash her again, but it's just not. It's not all coming out. Even the lady at the pet store said it. It should work, but it's not. It's not 100%. Mm-hmm. So we'll live with it.
Well, life have to wear away.
It's the life of having cool puppies like we have.
Yes. We've kept quite a good eye out in our backyard, too, and we've been definitely maintaining our flashlight
Oh, my gosh, I got to tell everybody. So Mary now at night, we always let them out once before we go to bed. And so we put the porch light on, and she takes her little phone with her phone light and goes and walks out on the porch and the deck. And I was like,
I don't let the dogs out until after I search the whole
I'm not so
area.
Sure that's enough light. We got to get something. Maybe not. We'll get something.
Yeah, we'll get one of those big searchlights, those big giant ones.
Yeah, we got to work on the light. We have not had a chance to do that yet, but that's on the to-do list.
That's hilarious.
What else you got?
We are setting about refreshing all of our planters. This is a great time to do that. because the mornings and the evenings seem as though they're getting a little bit cooler. And we're still putting in some warm season plants. We're putting in vinca. Vinca should be able to take us to frost, perhaps. It's vinca major. Yes, that's the one you want to look for. And it's a periwinkle, I believe. And so we combine that with some plumbago, which is actually a perennial in our area, I believe, and some ornamental sweet potato vine. I think it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, it's going to be
very
nice.
Colorful. Mm-hmm. So get out there and refresh your tired planters right about now. That'd be really good going into the fall. And, the best thing ever. Wonderful. We got 4 new raised bed gardens. I'm very excited about them. And we had help putting them together, which was so nice.
It was. We had
it was so nice.
Yeah, we had a couple of our sons come over. They helped us out. Now, these are the planters. These are the metal.
They are metal.
The metal ones you have to kind of put together, with the screws and the bolts and stuff. And we had 4 of them.
Well, that's the thing. They're very, very easy. The instructions are so easy to follow. They're easy to put together, but they just have a wealth of screws and nuts and bolts to put together.
So it was great to have the help with the boys that came over and helped us do it. We actually got it done really quick with them helping.
I do think that 4 of them just took an hour and a half about.
Yeah, it was only about, it wasn't much at all. And we had fun. Of course, we had fun hanging out with them and stuff. So that was a cool thing. And we got the work done as well and got them set up in the little garden out there. They're ready for your filling and
they are.
Whatever else you're going to do.
So before I begin filling them, I want to do a soil test on the native soil that's underneath, which is fun to learn about. And then we'll go about filling the planters.
Beautiful.
Which we talked about calculating a few podcasts back.
Yeah. And maybe we'll get the grandkids to come help us do that too. Now that I like it. They're good workers, man. I love it.
Idea.
Yeah, there you go. They like it too. So it works for everybody.
Okay. And the last thing that I had on my list is I went out onto the Penn State Extension Learning site and picked out a class that I would like to take.
Which one did you pick?
Ornamental grasses.
Nice.
Plant identification and usage of ornamental grasses.
Well, we talked about the online classes
we did.
Last time. And so cool. I didn't know you'd gone out there and taken a look at it.
I did.
Very cool.
Yes. It says the skill level for this class is beginner and intermediate, which is, really good. I'll learn some new tips and new information. And it's about 3 hours long. And I was happy. You know what I'm happy about? If you sign up for one of these courses, you have a complete year, even though it's only 3 hours long. I bet you could return to it and refresh what you've learned.
Oh, wow.
And so it says length of content access, 365 days.
Oh, that's great.
That is a real plus.
Yeah, I think that was kind of a cool thing. And like I said last time, you're looking at Penn State. I'm sure there's many, many other colleges and universities that do it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
definitely has it too.
Great.
I'll look over at A&M as well.
No, good.
First class. I'm excited about taking that.
Outstanding.
Ooh, very nice.
A lot of cool stuff new in the garden. I think the temperature's turning, so everything, it's so much nicer to sit out there now
than
it was for the last month or so. Okay.
I'm sure we're going to have a warm spell.
Yeah, we'll have a warm spell maybe, but
yes,
we're going to enjoy the 80s now.
Traditionally, right as you get to Halloween, you do have a slight warm up. All those years we would put on our costumes to go out trick-or-treating and you just sweat.
Sweating.
But we might have one a little earlier than that this year. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
All right. Well, thanks for that, Mary.
Well, you're so welcome.
So I know you had a couple topics to talk about today. What is the first topic of the day?
We, in our area, we have what we call Texas Cedar. And we are heading into the fall and winter season. And as I'm walking around our neighborhood, I see the Texas Cedar trees, as we call them. And I can see the little blue berries that are beginning to really form and develop quite well on the trees. And so I know that this plant has two rival camps, positive, negative. And if they're negative, they're really, really negative because we've been taught you got to get rid of it for about 50 years, 50, 60 years. It's been viewed as such a negative plant in our ecosystem, and also has been described as invasive and non-native. And so I wanted to do a deep dive into this plant and see if I can find out a little more. Well, what happened, one of the things that happened was I was just chit-chatting with an acquaintance that I know, and she was describing having her Texas cedar in her yard, and she was confused about whether it would be good to keep it, whether she should have it removed, and so that really triggered this interest in finding out a little bit more about it.
Okay.
Have you ever stopped and considered the Texas cedar?
The only thing I think I've ever considered is I used to get cedar fever. The allergy is really bad. I don't get them as bad anymore. I don't think now they've gotten older, but it used to be really bad. I got to be honest, that's probably about all I know about it.
Well, I do have to say that is included in, our discussion today. And the thing of it is you drive through while the male trees are releasing the pollen, and it actually bursts out of the tree, and it looks like a cloud coming off the tree with all the pollen. And it really does give people problems here in this area. And it's a struggle. I'm going to say that is a major drawback to this plant. But we really want to find a way to have sections of this plant in our ecosystem because of all the things that I learned about it.
I'm excited to hear what you've learned. We've walked around. We took a walk today, and I think we saw a couple
absolutely
during the walk, and they're always associated with Texas. So
they are.
I mean,
honestly, in our area, it is a ubiquitous plant. It really is. It is. Probably because it is well suited to growing on our limestone outcropping. And it was described in the material I was reading. I really got to understand this better, but karst soil, Karst. And so I think that describes our limestone that's very thin. It doesn't have a lot of topsoil to it. But I do need to do some more research on that to understand.
Never heard that. I was excited to hear you use the word ubiquitous, by the way.
It is ubiquitous.
Get two check marks on that one.
Thank you.
It's a good one. I was waiting on that one.
At any rate, so the first thing that I need to tell you about is the Texas cedar is not even a cedar at all.
Oh.
Nope, it is a juniper. It's Juniperus ashii. And it was named for, let me see if I could find.
That's interesting.
It was named for William Willard Ash, who was a forester and arborist. And so there's several varieties of the juniper. There's a red juniper, and there's also the one that we have, which is Juniperus ashii, and there's a mountain juniper, And Texas cedar, honestly, is native from Missouri all the way down through Texas, through central Texas, on down into Chihuahua, Mexico. And so it does have a lot of names, a list as long as your arm.
Okay.
We're going to call it Texas cedar.
Texas cedar.
Here,
We're here in Texas. We got to call it
everybody
Texas. That is what
really
everyone
knows.
calls it.
It's an evergreen. And our area of the country doesn't really have a lot of evergreens that do extremely well here. So that's one reason why it's really good in the landscape. It usually grows as a bushy or shrubby form, which is going to be important in our later discussion, and kind of like in a thicket or a multi-trunk type of situation. As they mature through many years, they can be up to about 30 feet tall, about that would be like 10 meters tall, and about 49 feet in circumference.
Oh, wow.
And
I knew they got tall. I didn't know they got that wide.
That's because their branches kind of angle out in awkward ways, and they do have like a shaggy bark as they age and mature, and that shaggy bark is also going to feature in our discussion later. This tree is a dioecious species, and I really hope I said that correctly, because the trees have both a male form and a female form. And so today, while we was walking around.
We was walking. I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. I was up there real close taking pictures of the little blue berries. They're actually like the seed cone. It's called a seed cone. And that forms on the female tree. It takes like 8 months after the pollination occurs for that little seed cone to form, and it has a couple of seeds in it that the birds love to enjoy, and then they spread them all around. And that's why we have, a lot of populations of the Texas cedar. And so the male tree now is going to have a yellow cone, and it's going to begin to look sort of like it'll turn into a rusty sort of color, and you think, what's wrong with that tree or whatever? But it's actually the cones that are developing the pollen. And the pollen typically disperses maybe December through February. Now, the thing of it is that we experience our cedar fever earlier than that and later than that. And part of it is because there are different species that release the pollen at different times. And also the winds, the atmosphere will bring pollen from states that are more north of us down through our area as well. And it is an irritant. I mean, I can't get around that.
No.
So what I was so interested in, we've always heard, this is a non-native invasive species. And that is absolutely not true. This has been a native plant coming up, growing and living in our area all the way back to the Pleistocene era, which would be your Ice Age.
Oh, wow.
They have pollen records I guess it's in the fossil records, all the way back that they could trace back to
Man,
then.
that's crazy.
That's very interesting,
that's pretty cool.
right?
Yeah.
And they were managed. The growth of this plant was managed throughout history. Some parts of it can be managed a little bit with the wildfires, a true wildfire that used to happen on the grass prairies. But this tree is a very, very fire-wise tree. It's actually not a tree that is bad in that respect.
Oh, okay.
And I'll kind of talk about that here coming up. So, it has been around for so many years, and historical uses, of course, when the European began to populate and settle and everything, they cut a lot of the trees down and they used them as roof beams in the Spanish explorers. Then they built the churches and everything, the missions, and they would use these trees as the beams. Oh my gosh, telegraph poles or telephone poles, foundations of houses, and railroad ties. And today in our area, we see a lot of the use as fence posts.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because they have a history of being good and strong in the soil for about 50 years.
Wow.
And that amazes me.
Yeah, we do. Actually, here in Texas, we do see a lot of them as fence. A lot of people make fence
A lot
poles
of
out
cedar
of those.
posts. Well, they're
interesting.
not cedar. They're juniper. But
Juniper. We'll call them cedar.
Yeah.
Cedar juniper.
Yeah. So this tree, the reason that we want to keep it, a lot of people have the opinion that this tree is very water. It uses a lot of water, and the fire situation, they say, oh, it's very flammable or whatever. And those two aspects are actually not true.
Okay.
It doesn't use any more water than any of the rest of the brush. It doesn't use more water than, say, your live oak or anything like that. What it does is because of the scale-like shapes to the needle, it can retain water. It can hold onto water. It'll create its own little humidity inside the branches. And it also replenishes our aquifers because it helps the water to travel into the soil. And I'll go into how it does that here in just a minute. So it's actually a very water thrifty tree. And so the thing about this is the little thickets, these cedar breaks can actually halt a wildfire. It could burn right up to it and not burn through the thicket because of that water retentive factor. And it will shed its needles onto the ground, which is another real benefit. This tree, if you go out and you just see a hard layer of limestone, but you have the Texas cedar growing on top of it, underneath that tree, you'll find inches where it has built the soil. And so it's a really effective soil builder. And what happens is because the moisture penetrates into the soil, the fire can't travel across that either.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to trim up the lower branches too high. The reason for that is you're going to create a situation where the brush and the grasses are the real fuel for the fire. And so they will, where there's a lot of sunlight in there, they'll grow up quickly to all the different trunks and stuff like that. And so you don't want to trim it back severely. Let me see. So what's interesting about this tree, I love this. This is like one of my major excitements when I was learning about it. It provides a nursery for other species that we desire. And there are species that cannot really effectively grow readily outside of this canopy or nursery, or the duff that's on the soil layer provides really good structure for them to germinate. And that includes your Texas madrone. Oh my gosh, that is a tree that I have wanted for a long time. And they're kind of hard to grow, So your Texas madrone, your possum haw holly, your Texas red oak actually readily germinates. And then those little sage that we have growing in front of our house and everything, the Salvia greggii, there's a species called cedar sage that only grows within these thickets, and also the American smoke tree. I don't know if you remember that tree. We went to the nursery, and it had the plumes that were blooming, and they looked like smoke coming off of it. And so the thing about when they help the oak trees germinate, the oak tree has a taproot, and that taproot is going to force its way down as much as it can into the rocky layers over time. And the Texas sage, they don't have a big taproot. They will go down into the soil. I think it said maybe 4 feet deep, 5 feet deep, but most of the roots are kind of up towards the more shallow, which helps the little plants grow because the water's channeled to their forming root systems better. And also, that's another way they help filter the water and regenerate the aquifer, is because they capture the water and it goes into their shallow root systems and finds its way into the taproot of the oaks and other large formation of roots, and trickles down. And we want to preserve that. That's going to be
pretty cool.
That is going to be very important, right?
Wow.
Especially these days as we have lots of people moving to our area. So I was excited to hear that they're kind of like a supportive tree for other species.
But you're right. I think most people come in and cut them right down.
They're viewed very negatively, and it is turning. The tides are turning because there's so many people speaking out and studying.
That's great. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, about what all the good they're doing.
Our native species.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I have just a little bit more.
Yeah,
if you
absolutely.
Still have time.
Keep it. Oh man, I'm here all day.
So we love birds. Oh my gosh.
We do. We do love our birds.
Watch their antics every day. And one of the birds that is so dependent upon the Texas cedar is called the golden-cheeked warbler. And near us, the Balcones Lands Preserve is just an arm's length away from us. And that's one of the species that they are trying to protect and trying to hold on to. And this bird needs these trees because they use the strips of bark that are peeling away to build their nests and their habitat. And of course, it's a food source for them with the female seed cones and stuff like that. And other species that are so really today, a lot of our ranches, they look for recreational opportunities for people to hunt deer and hunt quail and things like that. Well, when you're a rancher or you're out working other animals, you might find the Texas sage to be an impediment when you're trying to round up your cattle and things like that. But the people that are looking on their rangelands to grow and have hunting opportunities, they should look at the Texas sage because they provide food, they provide shelter, especially during the winter. They provide thermal shelter for a lot of species. And I was surprised to read that the deer will browse on the Texas sage, especially during the late winter. And it actually is a pretty good food source for them. I mean, it's not like the most optimum, I'm sure, but they do eat the berries and the leaves and so forth. And robins are really good. They need that food source. And cedar waxwings, one of my favorites. Raccoons. Of course, now now we're talking about game birds. If we get down to here, the quail and the wild turkey actually browse on the
okay.
The seed,
Nice. Yeah.
the little seeds, yes.
Yeah.
And there is a bird. Now, it doesn't actually eat the seed cones, but it's called the black-capped vireo. And the reason that the Texas cedar is important for them is because it is a nursery plant, and the black-capped vireo feeds on a lot of the other things that are sprouting underneath the Texas sage. Yeah. So your songbirds, your game birds, they provide a lot of, it's called thermal protection in the winter. Rabbits, I'm sure they do that.
Yeah.
But, and then lastly, the Texas persimmon grows well under there, and a lot of your sumacs will grow well under there. And so I have come to the conclusion that a Texas sage, although it does have a negative impact from being an allergen, which is very sad, it just provides us with so many positives that we need to stop plowing them under indiscriminately, and we need to keep our habitats.
It's great. It does a lot of good stuff. I mean, I never would have thought of it. So I think you need to get a little book out there. My friend, the Texas sage or cedar. Or,
Texas cedar.
Cedar.
You're correct. How long have I been saying
You've been saying
Texas
sage for a while.
Sorry.
Here. Texas cedar.
Which is not actually a cedar.
Yeah, it's not really a cedar. But my friend, the Texas cedar.
Okay.
We'll get a little picture book and get the. Hey, I got to ask you, do skunks like it? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm afraid that
they probably do.
the thing about skunks is today while we were walking around, they had done some clearing and they had made a large pile of brush. Now, yes, the skunks love it when they're piled up.
I know.
Like
I was just messing with you.
I'm afraid of that.
Yeah, that's okay. Hey, that's good information. That was great information on the Texas cedar.
Things that I did not have any clue about.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. It's very helpful to the ecosystem. And who knew? I didn't know.
I know.
All right. I like it.
And it's a dependable tree for our area too, you know?
Oh, yeah, it definitely grows. I mean, you don't see. They're very good for this area. All right. Well,
and the other useful thing is people love to come out along the highways and byways in our area and decorate them for the holidays.
Yeah, they do. That's a weird tradition, but you're right.
It's kind of weird.
Just the ones on the side of the road.
On the side of the road.
Well, what else you got?
That is what I have for today to
discuss.
Like it.
It was very, very cool. Very good information on the Texas cedar sage. Sage.
Cedar. Sorry about that.
I'm going to mess with you about it. We all knew you were talking about the Texas cedar. It's okay. All right, I got something special for you today, Mary, for Jeff's Corner. Got a little intro music. We're going to come with what? What is that? It's Jeff's Corner, everyone. And I'm going to bring you some good info. I don't know what the heck that was.
All right, Texas
here's
Jeff, you're never going to live that down.
No, here's Jeff's Corner. So I had a couple. I had two to pick from, but I'm going to go with this one. And this is from Southern Living Magazine. Give them credit. So I got to ask you, Mary, should you use banana peels in the garden? What's your thoughts on that? Have you heard that people put banana peels in the garden?
I have somewhat heard that. I don't know if the nutrition that's available in the banana peel would be readily available for your plant.
I cannot stump you. Okay, a lot of people think you can just put banana peels in the garden, just basically throw them out there, and then all the nutrition will do that. But the nutrients in the banana peels aren't really automatically accessible after you put them in the soil. They need to break down first, which takes a while, right? And bananas really are water. They're mostly water, and they'll really break down very, very slowly. And it's really not going to provide much nutrients. So that's kind of I think people do think that it's, just take the peels and put them out there. So it's if you bury it, if you just put it out there, the other thing it'll attract, unwanted guests, AKA our skunk friend and others. So just kind of a little myth out there that you can just, the banana peels out there, really not going to do anything for you. The better use for them would be compost bin.
A compost bin.
Which you do. You compost ours.
I do love to put mine in the worm bin.
Your worm, so I'm sorry, worm bin, compost bin, worm bin. Okay.
It is worm compost,
yeah.
Yes.
But if you do put them in a compost bin, they will quickly decompose and add to the compost bin. So that's really the better way to use them. And I'm going to go back to what you said. If you're concerned about the nutrients that are in your soil, you should do a soil test. And, most of your county extensions will do it for a reasonable fee. You've done them. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to get that myth out of there.
I love it.
I had my little song coming in.
I love it.
Had my banana. That's probably the last time I'm going to do that.
No, don't do that.
But anyway.
I do love it. This is a wonderful topic because there's so many things that we all think would be fabulous just to go directly into the soil. Mm-hmm. And it will cause a great impact immediately. And oftentimes
they really
takes
don't.
Time for the microbes and it just takes time for everything to be able to utilize what you do put in the soil.
And I think it is a good point. I mean, we joke about the skunk stuff, but I do think, you do need to be careful when you put that out there because not just skunk, but other rodents and things are going to, they're definitely going to be attracted to, it's almost like putting some trash out there, to be honest with you. So the better way to do it is to put it in a compost bin and use it as compost.
I know if you have space to do a real compost bin, wow, that is fabulous.
Absolutely. So that was my, it was my little thing.
It.
That was
Thank
a little
you
Jeff's
so
corner
much.
for today. Was a banana
Gold
peel.
Star.
It was fun.
Gold star.
It was fun. I was trying to do something a little different, but anyway.
I applaud you.
Yeah. That's all I had. That was my little tip of the day.
Well, it's a wonderful note to go out on.
It is. Mm-hmm. What else? Do you have anything else?
I did get a few seeds that I'm looking forward to planting.
You did? Mm-hmm. I didn't see what you got, though. What did you get?
I did get a variety of red cabbage that I'm going to start up. It's a little early, but maybe if I do succession planting.
Okay.
And I believe I got a an English pea that I'm going to try now that the weather is cooling down.
Yeah.
And I think those are the two that I got.
Well, very good. Good. Well, hey, that's okay. We're going to wrap it up. That's all we got. I'm not going to wrap it up with the music. I'm going to go just do a nice wrap up here. That was awful.
That was
fun.
Very creative.
It was
I
very
loved
creative
it.
and fun. But we appreciate everybody joining us. Like we said, we're having a lot of fun here. I hope to bring you some good information. I know Mary's having fun each week.
This is right up my alley.
It is right up her alley. And you know what? It's really cool. I mean, you're kind of doing some deep dives on some of these things, and especially today on the Texas Cedar /sage. Texas Cedar, and give us good information on that, on how it's actually beneficial to us.
I know.
So that was good.
Surprised me, some of the facts that I learned.
That was very good. Mm-hmm. So, Mary, have any parting words?
I wish everybody a very good week in gardening and good weather, and I hope your seeds sprout.
All right. Hey, we'll see you guys next week. Same place, same time. Until then, enjoy your gardening. Bye.